In a quaint and peaceful town, I found my calling as a photo restorer, a role entwined with the delicate task of breathing life back into time-worn photographs. My job was more than just a profession. It was a journey into the past, unearthing the hidden stories locked within each faded image. This tranquil existence, however, took an unexpected turn when I was presented with an offer that was both intriguing and unnerving. A substantial salary was on the table, but the job required me to move into a sprawling, antiquated mansion, far from my current residence. The catch was not just the relocation, but the sheer volume of photographs awaiting restoration in the secluded abode. Embracing the challenge, I decided to stay at the mansion, a decision that introduced me to a life far removed from the one I knew. The house, with its towering ceilings and echoing halls, came with an additional perk: 2 servants whose sole purpose was to maintain its vastness. At first, the mansion exuded an air of serene majesty, its silent corridors and spacious rooms, a stark contrast to my previous urban dwelling. The only sounds breaking the stillness were the rustling of leaves in the vast gardens. As days melded into weeks, the mansion began to reveal its peculiarities. There were inexplicable occurrences. A piano note hanging in the air, as if played by an invisible hand, or doors that would creak open, as though pushed by unseen forces. Initially, I rationalized these happenings as quirks of an old house, perhaps magnified by the wind inadvertently caused by the servants. But one foggy evening, as I settled into a worn armchair with a book, a new disturbance arose. Surely the servants were running, I thought. I stood up to walk upstairs, but quickly glanced through the window. To my shock, the servants were outside. I was sure that I heard someone running. With a mix of fear and curiosity, I ventured upstairs. Doors along the corridor were slightly ajar, revealing a room shrouded in dust and silence. I have never been in this room. Weak moonlight struggled through dirty windows, casting eerie shadows across the floor. In a corner lay an old chest, its wood warped by time and neglect. Compelled by a strange fascination, I opened it to find a trove of old photographs. So aged and faded that their images were barely discernible, so I brought the photographs to my room for restoration. Once I cleaned each one and removed any remaining chemicals, I hung them to dry. But when the revealing faces, hidden beneath years of decay, started to properly appear, my heart stopped. Among the images were the unmistakable portraits of the mansion servants, captured in the haunting, still style of postmortem photography. A chill ran down my spine as the realization dawned upon me. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps approaching sent me into a panic. I rushed through the back door to outside, fleeing into the night. Not long after the run, I stumbled upon an unexpected sight: a graveyard hidden in the shadows of the mansion. There were lots of tombstones. As I walked through the graveyard, my thoughts were going crazy, trying to understand the logic, until I stumbled upon a couple of weathered and cracked tombstones. I read the names, and my heart dropped. They were the names of my servants. Fear gripped me as I grappled with the reality of my situation. A whisper from behind broke through the eerie silence.
"We are trying to help you."
Turning, I saw the silhouettes of the servants emerging from the thick fog. My instincts kicked in, and I sprinted towards the house, the heavy door slamming shut behind me. Through the window, the servants' ghostly faces appeared, their words chilling the air.
"We should start living together, so the intruders would leave this house."
Just before I tried to answer, an unsettling vibration traveled through the ceiling, as if someone was running upstairs. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, I ascended the creaky staircase. Initially, the figures I encountered seemed like phantoms, but as I drew closer, their human forms became clear. They were tangible, living beings, their eyes alight with a blend of fear and curiosity, and among them sat a psychic, her gaze fixated on the empty air. The psychic's voice broke the tense silence.
"He is here, in this room,"
she declared.
"Tell him to leave us alone!"
The room fell into a hushed anticipation, as if waiting for a response from the unseen. Then, my gaze fell upon a small, forgotten toy. A tiny wooden sailboat resting on the dusty mantel. It was identical to the one I had once crafted for my children. Wait. Children? How do I have children? It was then that the past came crashing into my consciousness. The tragic news of my wife's untimely death, a harrowing tale of her descending into despair, ultimately leading her to drown our beloved children before taking her own life. This unbearable loss engulfed me in a sea of grief so deep and dark, I had turned the gun upon myself. All this time, I had attributed the strange occurrences in the house to the whims of nature. But in reality, I was that strange occurrence. It was me who was the ghost, along with the servants.